Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. I've realized I have a way I introduce myself every time, but I'm looking to change it. Welcome to today's episode of Start to Finish. Now, this is a series we started, we won't believe if I tell you, 58 days ago. Yes, 58 days ago. In June, we did 30 episodes, and in July, we've done 9 episodes now. Why are we doing this series and why are we focused on helping people finish strong? Which is what we're trying to do, help you finish strong, help you start what you finish and complete it. Over the past couple of days, I've done something remarkable. I've looked at the way we view goals, I've looked at our mindsets, I've looked at attitude to goals, I've looked at the reason why people don't achieve what they want to achieve. And one thing I've realized is that we've done the theory, but we need to go to the practice, the practical aspect of what we are preaching. So thank you for joining me for today's session, and I'll be sharing what I want to do with you and how I'm going to work with you on this journey of completing what you've started. Now, it's just about setting goals. It's about setting goals and completing these goals. Everybody here knows they should set goals. Everybody here knows that they should be focused on doing certain things. But what stops us from actually achieving what we were set out to achieve? What stops us from actually getting the result we want to get? And that's one thing that we lack to, we fail to do, and is we don't give ourselves feedback. We do not embrace the power of reflection. So today we're going to be talking about the power of reflection. I will share a little bit about my reflective exercises, and I will share the path I am going to play when it comes to what I have called 90 Strong. Now, everyone knows the drill already. Please tell me where you're listening to from and how the audio is. How is the audio where you're listening? Is the audio fantastic? Is the audio great? Do I need to go on or do I need to adjust my mic? My mic is bad, so I'm talking just basically from my laptop and my phone. Now, let's get started. What is the power of reflection and why are we starting today talking about the power of reflection on day 59? The reason we're talking about the power of reflection is simply this. It's something we've stated, but we need to keep stating it. You don't have problem setting goals. Motivation is not a problem, but you do not have a personal productivity system that takes reflection into place and then makes decisions based on data. We said every decision we make when it comes to goal setting should not be based on just our emotions, but should be based on data. And that's where we stopped yesterday. We talked about the fact that the only data we can get is by us keeping proper records of what we did and what we did not do so we can make informed decisions. And the only way to do this is by having what we've called the reflective exercises, where you are reflecting on your journey. Now, when I talk about reflecting on your journey, what comes to mind? It's not just wishing you understood why you acted in a certain way, but it's about you being honest with yourself and having a thoughtful contemplation or examining one's experience. It's about understanding your beliefs, your emotions, and a couple of other things. For me, it involves taking a step back to reflect or to review what you've done. And you do it in different ways: daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. Now, every separate reflection will go deeper. So sometimes you can do a deeper dive when you realize that you were not achieving what you wanted to achieve. But what you just need to understand is this. In personal development, reflection plays a crucial role as it allows you to assess your growth and learn from your experience, then make informed decisions for the future, which is basically what you're doing. You're making informed decisions that will impact your future. And it starts with you looking at the past because the past gives us insight, it leaves signs, it leaves things that we cannot neglect. That's why we reflect to give ourselves feedback. We do not learn from experiences alone. We learn from reflecting on experiences. And I'll repeat that. That's by John Dewey. And I absolutely love that quote because sometimes you say, oh, I've experienced it, but did you learn from your experiences? Did you reflect and say, okay, this is what happened and this is why it happened? These were the things that were involved. What questions are you asking yourself during your reflective exercises Or are you not asking yourself questions? How do you know if you succeeded or if you failed? Do you have milestones that you're using to measure your goals? We talk about so many things that we need to do. One more important thing we need to understand is the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. Mistakes will happen, like we've identified before. The road to success is not a straight line. There are going to be potholes, there are going to be bumps, there are going to be barricades. Mistakes will happen, missteps will happen. But what we need to do is sit down and reflect and learn from our mistakes. That's the only way we can learn to grow. And we do not grow up absolutely chronologically. We grow sometimes in one dimension and not in another, unevenly. For me, I would say my growth has never been static or in the way I wanted it to. But I've grown partially when it comes to being an introvert. I was watching an old video of mine from 2016 and I had a wonderful time laughing because I can see my past and I can see where I am now. And the difference is clear. But I wouldn't have been able to measure my growth on how I have matured if I did not have data. And we're looking at data as information. So we grow from the information that we see out there that we make. So that's what I want us to do. Let's look at Thomas Edison. Everybody knows the story of Thomas Edison, how he tried it many ways to create something and it did not work out. And the story of Thomas Edison to me is a fantastic one that we can learn from. Why? Because he's someone that reflected on his failures and it inspired him not to do what he did before. He famously said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This is one thing people always say is, DK, you're very determined. DK, you're very, very, very driven. You're resilient. Why? Because I'm learning from my mistakes and my missteps. And I'm learning from other people's stories. So I do not make the mistakes that they made, especially when it comes to doing certain things. And what he has taught me from his own little story is the power of reflection, resilience, and determination to learn from setbacks on the path to success. I always say the steadfast creative has a path, and that path is not as simple as we want it to be. Sometimes we make it complex, but we make it difficult. But when we are able to reflect, we are able to do certain things, we're able to become self-aware. We've talked about self-awareness, so I'm not going to reflect more on that, but I will say this. We said it's not just about looking at being aware of who you are, what you can do, your capacity, your capability, whatever. But from self-awareness, there has to be acceptance. And from acceptance, you take action. From action, you now get data that you reflect on. But it's about learning and growth. And through reflection, you identify patterns. This is the way I do things. This is what happens when I did not actually accelerate or go the way I wanted to go. These are the lessons I have learned. So you learn not just from your failures, but also from your successes so that you can repeat them. Valuable lessons come from our past experiences, whether they lead to success or failures, whether they lead to errors, mistakes, or they are error free. We can learn from them. And one thing that makes it different is that we don't track our progress when we are setting goals. So everyone knows that we should set goals. So we set goals, but we fail to track our progress. And like I said earlier, you are using data to make informed decision. You've set a goal that you want to achieve. Motivation was not the reason you did not accomplish that goal, but the fact that you did not reflect and track your progress consistently. So you get to the end of the year and realize that, wow, this was a goal I wanted to achieve. What happened? Another thing that reflection does for people, especially introverts or extroverts even more, it's this emotional processing. Because when you are forced to sit down with your thoughts, you are able to reflect on your own emotions. It allows you to process your thoughts and reactions to various situations. Julia Cameron says that anger is an emotion that must be expressed. But sometimes when we get angry, we are in denial. But when we understand our emotional responses, it enables us to manage stress and build emotional resilience that everybody needs. And when it comes to decision making, decisions are based on data. But by analyzing your past decisions, what I have called data, and their outcomes still data, you can make more informed decisions in the future. You make more choices. You are able to decide what you want to do, not based on emotions alone, not just based on gut feelings. Yes, there's a place for gut feelings. Even when you reflect, you understand that, oh, it was just my gut feeling, and this is how I feel whenever things like this are happening. You are able to even assess your gut feelings because you were able to reflect. Celebrating successes. This is something we talked about before. We said everybody has to have different ways of identifying where they celebrate successes. You need to have milestones. Some people want the whole thing to be achieved before they celebrate, while others are going to celebrate small milestones. But you need to acknowledge your progress that you've made. I did not achieve the $10,000 a month I wanted to achieve. But what happened to my mindset? What happened to my self-esteem? What happened to me when it came to networking? What are the things that I learned? So sometimes we have a fixed mindset, especially when we employ social media managers. I've seen this in the past. Your brand has grown in a certain way, but you did not get the sales you wanted to get. And then you blame the social media manager. Your brand has grown in a certain way or gone viral, but you did not get the sales. And you're like, oh, you didn't use the right hashtag. Sometimes sit down and celebrate the small, acknowledge the small progress, because you can learn from the mistakes rather than just seeing them as the fault of someone else. Okay, so how do you review progress? Everybody reviews progress in different ways. I review progress in my own little way, and my personal productivity system has a part which I use to reflect on the progress that I have made. And for me, I do this daily, weekly, and monthly. So it depends on the goal. So if I have a goal, I can have certain action steps that I want to take, and I have projects that are under those goals. So daily, I can look at the action steps. Weekly, I can look at the projects, and monthly, I can look at the goal. That's just a simplified way of saying this. But regularly reviewing progress, I will gain insight into what is happening. I will gain insights that will give me areas for improvement, and I will stay on track towards achieving my goals. But what are the ways I do this? You can use Notion. I create checklists for myself. I do visual representations. I use Canva and create certain things, and I know I'm monitoring my progress through that. People use Excel sheets. People use different visual aids. Journaling is a simple way to do it. Find a way that works for you. Maybe you're not a numbers person. Maybe when you see graphs, you freeze, and that doesn't work for you. Figure out what works for you, and then from there, move on. Track, evaluate your progress, look at your emotional state. Sometimes you can create your own path. You don't always have to use ready-made stuff. So there are trackers that are one size fits all, but that size doesn't really fit everybody. So what I do is I take trackers and I personalize them for myself. I will put what I want to put in and take what I don't want in. So that's why I'm starting something like 90 strong, because I wanted to do 75 ad, but it was just focused more on fitness and not for me, for example. But when you're doing all this, these are the things I want you to do. Be honest with yourself. State where you are, not where you wish you are. Avoid sugarcoating or downplaying your achievements and your failures and challenges. When you did not succeed in certain areas, own up to it. Take ownership. Be responsible for your actions and inactions. Recognize both success and setbacks to make informed decisions for the future. Why are you being this? Why are you being honest? Why are you being vulnerable? Why are you being kind? Why are you not sugarcoating, but you're speaking to yourself in a compassionate way? Why are you doing all this? Because you want to learn. And sometimes we shoot ourselves because we doubt ourselves and we're harder on ourselves. So be kind to yourself, but be honest with yourself. And these are the things I would say you should look at. Focus on growth, not perfection. Progress over perfection. Set realistic milestones. Don't set a milestone to read 1,000 pages a week or a day when you know that you are busy and you're always in meetings. Set realistic milestones. Seek feedback. Now, I'm going to be seeking feedback from a couple of people, and it's not easy sometimes being the one that is vulnerable in front of others. But a bad day for your ego is a good day for your soul. So seek feedback, but seek feedback from the right people, not from every single person, the right people. And we should learn how to celebrate small wins. Celebrate small wins. Celebrating small wins in a realistic, let the celebration be commensurate to the win. Not that you are going to buy yourself a private jet for a small win, but you are celebrating your small wins. And it doesn't always have to be financial rewards. It could be something as simple as anything you want it to be. Fill in the gap based on your pay bracket. And stay flexible. Now, when I talk to people about creating content, I talk to people about being productive and being the best version of themselves. I always say you have a content calendar. You should be able to control your calendar. So you're controlling your content calendar, you're controlling your personal calendar. Your Google calendar is color marked, everything is done perfectly. But there needs to be room for flexibility. Flexibility has to play a vital role. Everything will not go the way you want it to all the time. So stay flexible. Now, how do you create a reflective ritual? And it's about understanding that you're making a commitment to yourself. You're making a commitment to yourself. No one is going to know if you don't make that commitment. That's the good news. Or will I say the bad news? That's the good news. But the bad news is you will know. You will know when you say you're going to set 1 hour aside a day to reflect and you don't do it. You will know when you set aside a dedicated time and you're watching Netflix. You will know. So you want to ensure that you are keeping that commitment to yourself, and no matter what, you are staying on track. As much as possible, choose a quiet place and a quiet time where you know you're not going to get distractions from people. You know the time everybody comes back from work, that's not the time you want to start doing your self-reflection. Be intentional, be specific, but also take other parties into consideration. You could use a journal, keep it simple, or use digital tools. Notion is fantastic. Notion is fantastic. Airtable is wonderful. They are wonderful tools that you can use. But I want you to, whatever tool you use, be consistent with it. Do not deter from doing something else. Do not be excited. Because the funny thing about it is this. Let me tell you. TikTok will show you a new tool, a new journaling method, a new notion. This, you're going to see so many things that will distract you. Choose your path and stick to it for a while. Now, be flexible with it if you have to make changes, but choose your path and stick to it. Don't go because someone else is using something fancier and then you fail to use the one that you've already planned to use. And be consistent and stay open-minded when it comes to doing the things you do. And I will just show a couple of reflective questions that I ask myself regularly, and you can come up with your own questions, but these are a couple of questions I ask myself. If it's daily, those ones are not there. So what did I do? What did I say I was going to do today? I state it. What did I do? I state it. Did I do what I said I was going to do? It seems like a repetition, but it's not. Yes or no? Yes. Did I complete it? No. If it's yes, yes, fantastic. If it's yes, no. If it's no, no, why? So you're asking yourself these questions and you are recording this information for you to go back at the end of the week and flip through these pages and reflect. Why am I asking myself these questions daily? Because if I keep telling myself, oh, did you do what you said you were going to do today? No. And why didn't you do it? There's no reason. And I'm just not doing what I say I'm doing. Then I need to change my priorities. I need to change what I'm putting on my list. I need to cut down my goals into half. I need to understand that maybe it doesn't mean that much to me. Motivation is not enough. I am motivated, but I'm not taking actions. What should be the consequences of that? So many times we are scared of making mistakes. We are scared of asking ourselves questions. But if there's anybody that you should be not be afraid of, is yourself. So sit with yourself in a compassionate way and ask yourself these questions. And that evening, you plan what you want to do the next day. So it's not the next morning you are running helter-skelter, wondering, what did I say I was going to do today? You already know that this is my plan for today. So the moment your floor hits the leg hits the floor, you hit the floor running. You're not thinking about what you want to do. So you plan for the next day. What do I need to achieve the things I want to achieve? What are my maximum attention tasks? What are my minimum attention tasks? And what are my medium attention tasks? Because every task requires different attention. That's our 1, 2, 3 our attention matrix. Every task requires different attention. Every task requires different attention. So you have to understand that every task you are going to do every day, you need to understand that not every task requires the same weight. There's no 1, 2, 3 attention metrics, not attention task metrics. But that's not a bad name. Thank you for that. All right. So what else can we take into consideration? At the end of the week, these are some reflective questions you can ask yourself. What are the 3 most significant events or moments of the week? So you are reflecting on your week, the 3 most significant things that happened to me this week, and why did they stand out to me? So you are doing this every week. So what are the 3 most significant things that stood out for you? Maybe it was a series you watched, maybe it was an encounter on a train, maybe it was something you did, maybe it was a goal scored. Whatever it is, write it down. Get these things out of your head and onto paper. What did I learn about myself during this time? Did I discover any new strengths or areas of improvement? Why are you asking yourself this question? You're asking yourself this question because you want to grow. I think this is one of my favorite questions on this list. What did I learn about myself during this time? I learned that maybe I lose my temper. What did you learn about yourself? What are you learning about yourself weekly? And are there areas that require your attention that you need to improve? Are there any new strengths that you just discovered or areas for improvement? That's a very important question for yourself. Did I make progress towards my goals? Yes or no? And maybe I did. No, you're being honest. Yes, I did. What actions contributed to this progress? I sat down every day and I did deep work. Fantastic. Were there any challenges or setbacks I faced? Man, yes, maybe. No, maybe not. How did I handle them and what can I learn from these experiences? So, yeah, going back to the data and learning from this data. Did I show kindness or support to others? How can I continue to nurture positive relationships? It's not just about doing things and forgetting that relationships are important, but it's about every task, every action, every inaction, every single thing we do leads us somewhere. And we want to ensure that we're going down the right path. So, why are we asking ourselves these questions once more? So we understand ourselves and will make informed decisions regularly. How often do you do reflections? They are reflective exercises that are cast in stone and cannot be changed. Those are your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly ones. Daily, specific questions. Weekly, specific questions. Monthly questions will do a deeper dive, not just into your task and activities, into your mindset, into how you took care of yourself, into your emotional health. Quarterly, we go a lot deeper, and yearly will be fantastic. So we're going to be doing a quarterly one soon. We're doing a 90-day strong challenge, or rather, I am doing it and I'm inviting you to join me on the journey. I will share more about it tomorrow. But these are the ones that I would say should be on your calendar. And if other ones come for goals specifically, you can now put them on your calendar also. But these ones are non-negotiable, in my opinion. Your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly, in that order. So now, these are the few things I want you to remember when it comes to your goals, comes to getting things done, comes to all these things. The truth is, what gets measured gets done. If you're not measuring it, you're not going to do it. If you know you're going to measure it and you're going to meet with yourself regularly, you're going to get it done. Anything that measured improves. Even your task. It's not just about office work, but it's about your personal development. What we're doing is we're taking charge of our personal growth. We're not outsourcing our personal growth. So we need to measure and see where we are growing. We need to track our progress in order to do this. So sometimes people say, DK, weekly, monthly, is it not too much? Reflection saves you time in the future. It saves you time, because sometimes we are like, oh, I don't have time for it. Create the time. That's why you're told in advance that you're going to do it weekly, monthly, daily, and quarterly and yearly. So you are in advance giving yourself this appointment. You are not waiting and say, oh, it's the end of the week, I haven't done it. On Sunday 6 p.m. I will do it. Oh, this Sunday I'm having English this thing, Sunday roast with specific people. I won't be able to do it at that time. I will do it at before I go out. You are actually giving yourself an opportunity to succeed. By reflecting, by planning, you save time, and you won't expect what you expect. If you're expecting to grow, inspect your life. If you're expecting to thrive, to be the better version of yourself, inspect your life. The only way to inspect your life is by doing audits. And these audits, fine, they may be painful, they may be upsetting for you at this point in time, but they bring the best results when we are honest. So we'll say a couple of things that I would like to go back to. Set aside dedicated time. You have to make your reflection a ritual that you meet up with. It's non-negotiable. You've got to be honest with yourself. Your tracking and evaluation progress, is up to you. You choose the platform you want to use, the format you want to use. Some people do video journals and then get somebody to transcribe it. They just talk and say what they've done and it's transcribed. Choose what will work for you. But celebrating success is not a mistake. That's where we started. We said that when you're doing this in-depth reflection, you should be honest and kind and compassionate to yourself. And then you're making these decisions based on data and not based on your emotions. The reason you're doing this reflective exercise, perhaps I could come and do one exercise with you tomorrow. Maybe I will, where I'm just doing my reflection to say, okay, these are my goals for this thing. This is because now from tomorrow, I'm going to be working on what I've called 90 strong. And it's for 90 days. I'll be working on a challenge where I'm challenging myself to be a bit more intentional with a couple of things that I have neglected. And these things are just to help me improve the way I get things done. For many people, it may not be 90 days. You may not need that long. But why am I doing 90 strong? I will share the details with you tomorrow. But it's something I'm working on, and I'll be sharing what I'll be using to ensure that I stay on track. I'm not doing this just to waste anybody's time, including mine. I'm doing it because I want to improve. So I want to kind of take what I've been talking to you people about and show you a practical way to do it. So when it comes to setting your goals, I'll be being transparent and vulnerable and doing everything in front of everyone. And to me, that's the best thing I can ever do. But thank you so much for this. And tomorrow I will let you know more details about 90 Strong and what this circle means here. All right, cheers. Bye. Who has been